Hello, Facebook. All right. So I figured today has been a long week. I wanted to do something for y'all this weekend and kind of show y'all some basic stuff. I didn't have time because the WannaCry virus completely killed my weekend, along with everybody else at work. But you know what? That's why we do what we do. So let me tell you what we're going to do today. Just going to do a quick little tutorial. I'm going to run through this real fast. I'm not going to do something super complicated and super clean, but I just want to show you all how I'm doing this. It's pretty simple. Basically, I just had to turn my do not disturb on. Basically, I'm going to make a quick helmet, and I'm going to make it out of EVA foam, which, let me show you guys. Let me flip the camera here. I showed you before that I use this EVA foam here. This is, again, stuff you can just get at, Walmart sells it, Lowe's sells it, Home Depot. I personally just buy it on Amazon. It's like I think it's $26 for 6 of these big, I think they're 20-inch or 24-inch pieces. They're huge. They got this slight texture on one side, and they've got this smooth texture on the other side. Now, normally when I make a helmet, like I showed you on my helmet that I'm working on here, and this first one that I did, I actually put the textured side on the inside, so I've got a nice smooth outside to work with. I'm not going to do that this time. I'm actually going to, since I'm going to waste a piece of foam to show you guys how to do this, I'm actually going to do something a little different, but I'll show you that in a minute. First off, the helmet template. Alright, so this is my template. This is a cool little basic helmet template design. You can get these anywhere. I got this one from Evil Ted. He's a great online resource for foam smithing. He's done a lot of movies, everything from The Fifth Element to Star Trek Into Darkness, and he does The Walking Dead, and I mean, he just got, Rob Zombie films. He just got an amazing resume. So I bought these off of his site. They're like $5. This is the original one I bought. It's actually, the original size is actually large. It's what made this helmet. So I just took this PDF, it prints out to scale, and I scaled it down by, I think it was 5% or something like that, just to make it a little bit smaller so that it would be a little bit more snug. So I have not figured out yet how to hold my camera. Maybe I should have thought about that first. I got my little light here. Maybe I can use it as a rest, and I can. Awesome. It's gonna be sideways, but that's okay because it works as long as I don't as long as I don't hit this with my head. So this is how you do it. So you get these two templates. This is the top piece here. I wish I could see this. This is the top piece, and then this is the side. Now what you do on this is, to do the other side, you just flip it over and draw the template out again. So again, thanks to Evil Ted for these great templates for this basic helmet design. So I'm going to, can you see where I'm doing this here? I should actually call my wife and tell her, come video record for me. I don't know. I doubt she'd do that though. She's wrapped up in Babylon AD, the movie. It was killing me. I couldn't watch it. Alright, so I'm going to put this template down here, and I've got my little pins here, and something, again, Evil Ted shows great little tricks, pin these down so they don't move on you while you're tracing them out. Just a very simple little good idea. I'll put this one here so I can make the most room. Just a few pins in here. Hold it in place. And then again, I'll flip this one over and trace it out again. So most people use a black Sharpie, which works. It's fine. You can see it just fine on here. I started using white paint pens. The reason is because the black Sharpie is great for this and all, but when you start getting into this like Warbler and you start using this 2mm craft foam stuff, it's really hard to see the black Sharpie on here. So I found these paint pens just work great. You'll notice in these templates, these have these little cuts in them. These are registration marks, and you'll see what those are for soon. They're just to line up your pieces when you're gluing them back together. So let me real quickly just do a real quick trace here. It doesn't have to be super white, just need to see the line. And there's dogs out. I've got the garage door open. There's dogs barking outside. So, and then I'll come in here and I'll put these, fill in these registration marks so I can see them later. Again, you'll see what how these work. These are critical in this. They really are, because you would really not, especially on these long pieces like this, you wouldn't really know where you are in the seam, and you end up with an edge that's off. And so these are super critical. This little piece I'm tracing out right here is called a dart. You use these darts when it's like clothing. If any of y'all have ever done any clothing stuff, which I really haven't, but it's the same concept. This one's not a dart. It's just because you have a part that's going to be very curved, and you want to make it easier. There's only so much stretching you can do with this stuff, so much curving before it just starts looking weird. So. Alright, so I'll take these 4 pins out and I'll flip this template around to do the other half. And I'll just put it right, well, let's find some better use of space. About right there. Yeah, that'll work. You don't want to get too close because it just makes it hard. Seriously, get a stereo, come on. Alright. Hopefully y'all can hear me okay. Let me see here. Put on a mask to give yourself a fun look. Huh. It's telling me to put on a mask to give myself a fun look. I think I'll pass for now. So, trace this side out. Okay. Just lightly. Just enough to see it. And like I said, I'm doing this quick just so y'all can see the idea of it. I'm not trying to make something super accurate, super clean. Okay, so there's my templates. Put these back in my little strawberry here. I never thought I'd actually have a reason to own one of these things, but my God, this thing comes in handy now. Not just for sewing, obviously. Alright, so I've got my templates drawn out, and you can see my little registration marks are in here. So now I'm going to take my retractable knife. These are great, and these Kershaw sharpeners are imperative. Believe it or not, foam actually dulls these very, very quickly. Like after 4 cuts or so, it starts to dull out. So it's surprising, but just a few passes, and it becomes sharp as you need it to be now. So I'm just going to come in, and I'm going to come in at a straight down angle. I want these to be perpendicular. I don't want these to be curved or anything, because it's going to throw off the seam. So I'm just going to start over here, and I'm just going to go straight down, and I'm going to just cut right along this edge. Right along it. And I'm kind of keeping inside my line there a little bit, and I actually crossed over there. That was bad. See what happens when you're rushing? Then I'm going to do the same here. And turn this and get this side. Okay. And I'll cut this piece out. Get it on my cutting mat here. Cutting mats are awesome, by the way. Okay. Let me get this little sharpened. It really does make a difference. Okay. And I'm going to come up in here, keeping it as perpendicular as I can. Like I said, y'all, I'd be much slower, much more methodical when I'm making a piece that I'm using for a costume. And I also use a bandsaw. I realize not everybody has a bandsaw, so, you know, it's great if you have one. If you don't, you know, this is the way 90% of the people that do this. They do it with a good old razor blade. Okay, get out of there. All right, that's that piece. Let me cut these ones out real quick. I should have sharpened this, but I'll just continue this. I'll cut that notch out here in a minute. Get these pieces a little bit more workable. Okay, let's get this big piece out of the way here. And then I'll finish trimming this along. That. This piece. I'm going to cut this dart out here. Make sure to pull this vertical as I get there so you don't dig too deep into that. Let me sharpen this again. Okay. Oh, I forgot to cut that piece out on the other one, didn't I? That's all right. You know, this particular design, like I said, it's just a basic helmet. I don't know. I'm thinking it's like Magneto kind of style. I'm sure it's modeled after something in particular, but I don't know. It's just the template that Evil Ted had, and Evil Ted's been a great help, along with, you know, Cosplay Apprentice, Bill Duran from Punished Props. Lots of fantastic makers. So, all right, so here we go. Here's my pieces. Now, normally, again, what I would do is I would actually put these together with this being the outside, but in this particular build, since I'm making this just for the hell of it, I'm actually going to reverse it and use this as the outside, and I'm just going to make this helmet for myself just for play. I'll probably do like because this texture is very reminiscent of like a carbon fiber matrix, so you know, I'll probably make some sort of futuristic helmet out of this ultimately. All right, so let me see if I can get my phone. Oh, see my belly there? Wow. All right. All right, so let me flip this. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you, my heat gun's actually only working on low right now. I just ordered a new one. I dropped it the other day because I was in a rush. So hopefully you can see this, and I'm going to try and show you how this works. So first things first, I'm going to start with these pieces, and I'm just going to give them a little bit of shape that they need to get in the shape that I want. And it's literally just a matter of, I guess it's a matter of plugging your heat gun in first. There we go. It's literally just heating it. You know, I'm just heating the foam with the heat gun. It would go much quicker if I had high heat. And a hairdryer won't really work for this. Some people that don't have heat guns put them in the oven just for a few minutes to get them to the, warm, malleable temperature. I don't recommend that. I think that's actually a really bad idea. Because, well, obviously you don't want to burn down your house or your apartment or your studio or whatever it is. Alright, so just a little bit of heat on this. Now what you can do is you can put it up against your knee. I'm going to shake this one this way. And just kind of roll it around the knee a little bit. Just something round if you don't want to use your knee, whatever. Just to kind of give it that basic doming. And what that does is it pulls these seams in closer. So you can see now it's kind of got a slight dome to it, right? Do the same thing to this piece. Again, I'm trying to go as quickly as possible so this video is not too long. Because I'm not going to sit here right now and edit it and cut it all up and everything. I might do that later when I start getting these more advanced things. But this is something you can find those things all over online on how to do that. I mean, that's how I learned. This is just my attempt at showing my local friends and family how to do this stuff that might look at my stuff and say, how the hell did he do that? Same thing here. Just gonna give it a quick shaping. So real quick, pushes this together. And then I'll do the same thing to this big X piece. And this is actually the top, front, and back. And you'll see. Give it a quick heating. Now, once I'm done with this, as I start to pull this together, you know what? Silly me. I'm actually going to have to transfer my registration mark since I'm building this backwards. That's okay. That'll take just a couple seconds to transfer. Should have thought about that though. Alright, so this piece I'm just going to kind of push it together a little bit. Just kind of give it the basic idea, the basic form. Slightly rounding these out a little bit to give them, because it's not flat on top. It's rounded in 3 dimensions. So I'll give these a quick little, it's just a soft rounding on these. Now let me real quickly transfer these registration marks. So I have them. Yeah, I should have thought about that. But oh well. So obviously if you were going to use this side, if you didn't want to do this registration mark transfer, you could just draw the template out on the other side and cut it from the other side. But it all works out. It doesn't really matter. I mean, as long as the registration marks are there when I push it together. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'll pull those in on top here so I can see it when I put them together. And same thing here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'll pull these over. I know if Evil Ted or Bill Duran or Vert Vixen or any of them were watching this right now, they'd be like, Jason, You're putting the registration marks on the wrong side. I'd be like, yes, I am. But I doubt they're watching this. They've got bigger things to do than watch somebody mutilate their templates and projects. It's alright. This would be a super quick build. Like, someone came to me and said, hey man, I got a party later on tonight in like 5 hours. Can you throw together something for me real quick? Alright, so the marks are transferred now to the correct side. I believe I got them all. And I actually folded this one the wrong way. So let me reheat this because I was doing it by the registration marks. So I'll reheat this and fold it the right way. I'm so used to this textured side being inside always. You know, this time I'm putting the texture on the outside, so kind of threw me off a little bit. So there we go. Reverse that rounding on those. Reverse it on this side. Whoa, did you hear that? It tried to turn on high. Holy crap. I think this thing's gonna explode. Yeah, that's starting to smell funny too. Good thing I ordered a new one, because I think that thing just died. Yeah, it smells like burnt electronics. So that's okay. I ordered a new one, so we're good. Yeah, that stinks. Ooh-wee. All right. So let me get back up here, and so y'all can see again what I am doing. I'll turn this around. I might actually be able to. Nope, it's too slippery. Flip you. God, that stinks. Ooh, that smells bad. Okay, that's alright. I'm not going to use that anymore. Alright, so now the secret. The secret is contact cement. This stuff is, the stuff that I use is DAP Wellwood. Most people use barge cement, and I would love to use barge cement. It's just, it's a little more pricey, and they didn't have it. It's not even so much that, they just didn't have it at Lowe's. All they had was the DAP Wellwood version, which is fine. I mean, you know, half the people use Wellwood, half the people use barge. Pretty much everybody that uses barge started using Wellwood, and they just happen to get barge, and everybody seems to like barge once they go to it, but it's the same thing. And then of course my little zinc pot here, which is ridiculously expensive. So the secret is pretty simple. It's not a secret. You take this stuff and you put it in here. Now, I have learned a couple of tricks as far as this part of it's concerned. I used to do, you know, they tell you when you're first figuring this stuff out, they tell you, oh, just put down a layer, let it dry for 10 minutes, and then once it's tacky and not shiny, you can stick it together. And that is absolutely true, but there is a catch to that. The catch is that if it's a seam like this helmet that's going to have a lot of tension on these curves, I found it better to actually do 2 layers, not 1. And the reason is because, as I learned from, I believe it was Evil Ted that I found this out from, the reason is because the foam actually absorbs a little bit of the first layer. So you want to put a first layer down as kind of a, you know, like a foundation, like a primer. And a hair dryer is a great cheat. Instead of waiting 10 minutes, I wait like 10 seconds. So I'm going to quickly dry this. Get nice and dry, so it's no longer shiny. It's no longer shiny. It's you know, nice and dry. And then I'm going to come back. My hairdryer is safe at least. Then I'm going to come back and throw my layer that I'm actually going to stick it together with. And you don't want this layer thick. You don't want globs, because, I mean, you got to make sure there's no globs back in the seam back there, like there is, because that will actually ruin your contact. The stuff needs to be pretty much dry, for all intents and purposes. And I would do this in a well-ventilated area. This contact cement can, you know, kind of get you loopy if you're around too much of it in too enclosed of a space. Hence why I have my garage door open. I'm obviously, my garage is my studio, as most of y'all know. So, what better place to do this? So I'll do this real quick. And nice coat on there, a little bit shiny, not thick. And then I'll hit it with the dryer to accelerate it real quick. I just want that shine to go away. I'll do the same thing on this side. And you'll see here what these how handy these registration marks are. Alright, so this stuff, contact cement, is exactly what it sounds like, man. I mean, once you push this stuff together, it's going to lock. You know, except for these globs, which is what I was talking about. But so this is where these registration marks come in. You kind of put your thumb over here, kind of find the seam and line those registration marks up. I use my thumb to try and make that as flush as possible on the top. And it's okay to push and pull, you know, to get these registration marks to hit properly, because that's what's really important. Making sure these registration marks, like this one's a little lower, so I'm going to just kind of force it in. You know, force it into its spot. Trying to keep it as flush as possible the whole time. Now see, this is what happens when you rush it. It kind of wants to separate a little bit. But you can just kind of hold it for a second. Another trick you can do to make sure that seam is, you can reverse it like that, flip it over, and it puts some pressure on there. And then, you know, once that's settled, it'll seam up real nicely. Now this seam here, you know, you come back in later with this, and, you know, especially if it's smooth side, but you come back in later on a smooth side and use like a filler. Like you can use Bondo or Mod Podge as a little filler. You can super glue with a little baby powder mixed in with it. Works as a great filler because it's nice and sandable. Same thing here. Line up those registration marks. Try and keep it flush all the way down, using your thumb as your guide to make sure it's flush. And then push it all together. And get it nice and pushed together. And then to make sure that that stays, you can just pop it like that. You know, it's best to wait the 10 minutes like they say, because you get a better adhesion the first time. And I think that's also a reason why people prefer Mod Podge to, or I'm sorry, Mod Podge. Why people prefer Barge over Wellwood, because I think it's just got a slightly better initial contact. Once the contact is set, the stuff is great. But the Mod Podge might be just, or God, I keep saying Mod Podge because it's right in front of me. The Barge might be just a little better. Alright, so now we're going to do the sides real quick. And I'll try to rush these a little bit more, because I know this is going a little longer than, it's going to be longer than I wanted it to be. So I'll just quickly do this. I can come back and clean this helmet up at another time. I'll just do one side at a time. That's this side, yeah. It's going to go along this line. Oh, I got to put that in there too. I should do that first, actually. Yeah, let me real quickly, before I go any further, let me real quickly put that dart together. I forgot about that. Just gives me that curve, I'm just lining it up with itself, essentially. It's not a big deal. Just give me that curve there. And make that curve hold, not so strenuous. Alright, continue on with my gluing of this seam. I'm being kind of messy, guys. I'm sorry about that. But I am trying to rush this so we're not sitting here all night. Quick dry. And if you've got a hair dryer, this one's only got high temperature. It's got 2 speeds, but it's only 1 temperature, so it's kind of annoying. But if you have one that's got multiple speeds with a low temperature, that's even better. It just makes it, I think that's part of the problem I'm having with using this accelerated dry technique with the hair dryers. This little hair dryer, it only has heat. It doesn't have a cool setting. So slap that on there, and you're really going to see on this piece, as I do this, you're really going to see how these registration marks work. You kind of got the idea in the first piece, but this piece, it really makes a difference. I don't know why this guy keeps driving this car behind us. It's really annoying. Playing his music. Dun, 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 dun. Alright. Get a quick dry on this. Okay. This side too. That should be good. Okay, so on this piece, we're going to start with the front because that's the most obvious place. We want to make sure that seam is perfect. And it's really a pain in the ass to just kind of get that initial, you can get glue on you. Just got to get that initial one lined up just right. Just like that. Okay, once I got that initial one, then it's just manipulating and keeping it flush and pressing it all together, manipulating the foam, bending it around a little bit to make it go where you want it when it's kind of being a pain. Oh, look at that. I didn't transfer that registration mark. I missed one. That's okay. So, just kind of line it up like so and push it all together. And this one's kind of, let's pull it apart. Let's get this mark lined up. And get that all pushed together. And you just have to kind of push it together a couple times if you don't let it dry too long like I did. You just come back and you got like half an hour or so, If I come back in here in a few minutes and push these seams together, it'll, like these, they'll really lock in now. And then I won't have to worry about it anymore. And then we'll just get this side. And then we'll more or less be done for this one. Super quick. It's taking, what, like 30 minutes or so to make a quick little basic helmet. Oh, let's not forget. I almost forgot about this dart again. Let's get this dart again real quick before we do anything else. almost did it again. Okay, let's hit that. Push that together so it holds its shape. And like I said, normally you'd give these much more time to set and everything, but you know, you guys get the idea. And like I said, because this is a seam with a lot of tension on it, I am going to double coat this. Ooh, that's hot. Okay, and one more quick coat for the sealing coat, or for the joining coat, should I say. Just a little bit. It's very thin. And I can't stress enough, y'all, when you do this, very thin. The thicker you put it on, the actual more difficult it is. It won't hold. I mean, it won't stick. It'll be very difficult to do these pieces. It really needs to be a thin layer, and this stuff will grab, so you don't have to, you know, it's not like, I don't know, something else that you put a thick layer on, whatever that might be. So let's give this a quick little blast of air to get it to accelerate drying. I'm going to give this a little blast of air. Alright. And then we'll start seaming this piece up. Okay. So it's just awkward to hold this particular design. We get it right there, nice and flush. Got to get that first registration mark in place. There you go. And you're going to push and pull on these to get these registration marks, and you're supposed to. I mean, if you've ever worked with any sort of sewing and doing odd shapes, you'll know that that's just part of it. You know, it's just the way it works. So, we'll get this lined up, get these in place. My phone says low battery, but that's okay because I have a built-in charger. And we get all that to grip nicely here. Get that to hold. Let's just blast it in. Not that this really helps. This is more for my sanity. It doesn't really do anything. But see, now this side's nice and close. Here, let me turn my power on. Where's my power button? It's all good now. But see, like this is the first side we did, but it's separating, but it's had some time to dry. So now when I push this back, it's gonna lock, because you know, normally, like I said, you'd give it a little bit more dry time between. But now it's had time on this side, so it's going to lock really well. Same with the middle. And the back seam. It's all going to lock in really well as soon as you push it together. As will this seam, once it's had just a couple more minutes to dry. But, I mean, there it is. There's the basic helmet, right? And then, you know, you can come back in and do some design work with some of the 2mm foam or Warbler or whatever, and, you know, put a strip here and paint it and do whatever, you know, maybe do a little design to go around it as the brim of the mask, and, you know, maybe some sort of bolt mechanism here if it's a futuristic kind of thing, or, you know, and let's flip this around. So yeah, now we've got this cool helmet here, and we can just pop it right on, and there we go. And you know, this can be formed more or whatever, but you know, kind of a futuristic looking helmet. Pretty simple. Again, going off of the idea that this is, you know, going for this reverse look on this. Just giving you an idea. I mean, everybody, you know, I think y'all get the, you know, that normally most people would do the smooth side. And the smooth side would obviously give you a lot of texture, cool stuff you can work with like this. But, you know, you can use the rough side on the outside. And now I've got a carbon fiber helmet, you know, just do some design work in here. Give it some coats of paint, and it's practically ready to go. I mean, it looks like carbon fiber already. I could just come in and maybe do a light stenciled airbrush on it or something. But this is all ready to go. And if I need to mold, you know, so if my heat gun hadn't gone out, I can change these. You know, I can heat mold this and bring them in further. This is actually, guys, this template here, this kind of weird looking Magneto style almost helmet, is actually the base, the helmet that I made to do this. This entire helmet was based off of that. And you can actually see, if I pull it off, if you look at the back of these, you can see, because I haven't finished the back, so you can see on the back of this, it's got the middle seam, left seam, and the right seam. And if you actually look at the back of my helmet, you can see the middle seam, right seam, and the left seam. And you can see where it goes up there. And you know, I'm going to cover that in this helmet. I'm going to do some more work on it to blend those seams in. But you know, this whole thing came from that. And all I really did was added a piece on the jaw to extend it. You can see right here, I added this piece on the jaw to extend it out. I cut this section out, so it's, you know, I cut this piece out, so it's cut a square out, and then I created this little middle piece and added it to that to get that jaw line. And then this is just 2mm foam that I laid on top of it, and I made a little piece again. It's covered in this one, but I made a little piece here to bring this more to a point. Yeah, that's exactly how I did this. All right, so that's your that's my first tutorial. Super quick, super dirty. Again, you can go find these templates at evilted.com. He only charges a few bucks for his templates, and everybody's got templates. Bill Duran over at Punish Props has great templates. They all have tutorials that go along with the templates. Breastplates, armor, all sorts of stuff. I mean, you can pretty much learn how to do anything. And then a quick little update on my dragon armor. Pull this over here to go along with this, so I'll give you all a sneak peek again. So this is what I was working on my spine piece the other day, and I'm still working on my spine piece, but you know, I'm working on the back plating and everything. But this is kind of the basic gist of how my spine piece is going to go. These 3 bottom ribs wrap around and meet the front of the armor. You know, this articulating spine piece here, and then the back plate and the shoulder plate. Yeah, it's still rough shape, and these are all connected with stretchy material and hot glue. So that's an update. All right, I hope this was helpful. There's nothing on here that I showed you that you couldn't go see 100 other sites do. This is just for people that might be friends or family that don't want to go look at those sites. So hope you enjoyed the video, and if you want to see something else, or you want me to continue working on this helmet and do like some space thing on the side with it, or y'all want to learn how to do a different kind of piece or something, just let me know, and I'll try and get to it. All right, y'all. Thanks. Have a good night.